We're going to wait about 1 more minute for stragglers, and we'll be starting. Everybody on the call is in a listen-only mode. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith Severson. I'm with Voice and Data Networks here in Minneapolis. Thank you very much for attending this afternoon. Our presenters this afternoon is Rich Katroki from Mutari Software. First, we're going to start with a little Voice and Data Networks commercial. Just to first of all, let's take a look at the agenda. I'm going to give a very brief couple of maybe 30-second overview of Voice and Data Networks. I think if you're here, you already know who we are. And then Mutari Software Mutari Software, Rich Katroki is VP of Marketing with Mutari, and he's going to be giving the presentation this afternoon on speech-to-text. For those of you who haven't heard our commercial before, here's who we are. Voice and Data was started in 1994. We've been in business for 16 years as a vendor of Avaya products and services. As you can see from the list of customers, we serve some very large nationally based customers. We serve all customers in the small, medium, and large business marketplaces across the U.S. Having said that our main business is Avaya voice solutions, we also are involved in aftermarket products as well. And one of those one of the products that we offer is our strategic partner, Mutari Software. And Mutari, as you'll see from today, has got some very leading-edge solutions available for our telecommunications customers. So without any further delay, I'm going to introduce Rich Katroki from Mutari Software. Rich?
Keith, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. I've got the controls, which I will reluctantly only give back later. My name is Rich Katroki. I am the Director of Marketing for Mutari Software, and today I'm going to take you through, I want you to actually come away from this webinar with 2 takeaways. I'm going to show you a magic trick, so we'll do something a little bit different than you're probably used to doing in webinars. We will take a short commercial break to tell you a little bit about Mutari, and then I'm going to focus virtually all of our time talking about EVM Plus and our GIST speech-to-text option for EVM Plus. And then, unlike other magicians, I'm going to tell you how the magic trick was done. And you can go ahead and ask questions as we go. Just feel free to type them, and we'll take breaks every so often to review questions that come in, and Keith will go ahead and read those, and hopefully I'll answer those. Okay, so what are the 2 things that we want you to come away with after today's webinar? Well, the 2 things are, first of all, that only Mutari has clientless voicemail to email. And I'll talk a little bit about the evils of desktop clients in just a moment. And secondly, only Mutari has enterprise-grade voicemail to text for Avaya voicemail system. So you're going to be able to get this technology from Keith and the folks at Voice and Data Networks, and remember, we're the engine behind it all. So let's start off with a quick magic trick, and usually what I do here is I ask somebody from our studio audience, and I'm thinking Keith might do this, but anyone out there can participate. Feel free to go ahead and call the number on the screen, 847-496-9003. I want you to leave a message, and what you should do is say your first name and last name, spell it, include your phone number, and then here's the important part. You have to say something funny. Anything about Chicago sports teams, however, is off the list. It's just too easy a target. Okay, a little bit about Mutari. I'm going to give you a quick commercial break. Mutari Software has been in the communications business for over 2 decades. We are a platinum member of Avaya's DevConnect program, and that means that Avaya gives us all sorts of APIs where we can write code to make their systems better. We're going to show you how we make Avaya better in just a few minutes here. We're also a designated Nortel developer partner, so we work on both the platforms. We are pretty much a very cool company. In fact, the Gartner Group recently designated Mutari Software as one of the cool vendors out there because of the work that we're doing specifically with speech-to-text, which you're going to see today. We have been doing this, as I mentioned, for over 2 decades, and in that time we've been pretty busy delivering literally thousands of applications worldwide. In fact, we currently have applications installed on every continent, with the exception of Antarctica, of course. And while we're a Chicago-based company, we do have implementations literally from Chicago to Dubai and back. And what all of those applications have in common is that Mutari service stands behind it. And we have just an outstanding reputation for service and support. I'm sure you hear that from everybody, but we have actual proof. In a recent customer satisfaction survey, greater than 99.9% customer satisfaction. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are focused on your bottom line. So just what is EVM? EVM is a middleware solution that is going to sit on a server in your network. This is a Windows server typically, Windows 2003 or 2008, and this can be virtual. So those of you that have gone to a virtual environment will fit right in. We go ahead and using a single connection, an IMAP4 connection over your IP network, we're going to monitor your voicemail system. Now we work with all voicemail systems. I happen to be showing a modular messaging diagram here, but this could just as easily be an Intuity system, communication manager messaging, heck, it could be an Octel system. We'll do it all. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab your voicemail messages. We're going to listen to see if you've got anything new. When you do, we're going to take it and we're going to make a copy of it, stick it into an industry standard SMTP email, and send it to you. We relay it right through your enterprise server. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, but this is all part of the magic that we do, because by relaying the message to you, it's going to come right to your inbox. No desktop clients involved, none of that sticky ickiness that can cause a lot of problems. Instead, we just put it right into your inbox, and then it will work with all of your mobile devices. Now, you might wonder who would do something like this. We have a customer list that reads like a who's who of the Fortune 1000. It ranges from the very small. Our smallest customer is the Montecito Union School District in Montecito, California. They have a student enrollment of 300, and they use one of our notification applications. And our largest customer happens to be the General Electric Corporation, who uses just about all of our applications. And currently about 100,000 of their 300,000 employees are using enabled voicemail, which you're going to see here in just a moment. Now, it turns out that voicemail really hasn't changed a whole lot since the 80s. And I love this slide simply because it's got this 2500 set on it with the message waiting light. And it turns out that what you were doing back in the 80s when voicemail was first introduced, you're likely still doing today. And that is you're calling up whenever you think you have messages or your message waiting light went off, and you're going through this telephone user interface. As you can hear in the background, we've got some dialing going on. And it takes about a minute just to call up and get voicemail. So while email and a lot of other technologies have really improved productivity, voicemail is kind of stuck 2 decades in the past, where you're listening to things in real time. You're wasting a lot of time trying to get a message. Now, because of that, voicemail volume has kind of gone down over time. Email has really sort of overtaken that. But it turns out that the most important messages you get are coming in voicemail as opposed to email. When somebody has something that's very urgent, they don't text me or send me an email. They get on the phone and they call me. And so while I get fewer voicemail messages these days, the ones I do get are far more important. And so what EVM does is it takes that voicemail that you have today, that 1980s kind of delivery platform, and we bring it into the 21st century. We'll take your voicemail messages and your faxes, and we'll put them directly into your inbox so you can now see your voicemail and listen to it right through the speakers on your PC. If you're like me and you have a mobile device and you live or die by that mobile device, because this is in your inbox, all of your voicemail messages will now get pushed out to that mobile device. And if you're like me, you prefer email over voicemail, not a problem, because we have a new service called Gist, which is an option to our EVM system that will let you read your voicemail messages. That's right, it'll take a voice file, convert the speech to text, and now allow you to read a reasonably good transcription right in your voicemail message, so you will never have to listen to voicemail again or go through that crazy telephone user interface. So what we do with EVM Plus is we simply take your voice messages and the faxes that you'll get in your inbox. We will wrap them up into a message and send it right to your inbox, which then comes to your PC or to your mobile device, and we'll go ahead and deliver in literally to any email as a WAV file attachment or MP3 for the original sound file. Like I said, we can include that optional transcription. And if you're a fax user, and I know some of you still are, in fact, I still get faxes from time to time, usually orders from voice and data networks, I might add. No, I'm just kidding. The faxes can be delivered to my inbox as either a PDF or a TIFF file. And what's really cool about this, and one of the reasons why Gartner likes this so much, is this is completely email independent, so it doesn't matter whether you're using Exchange or whether you're using Google Mail or whatever you're using. It works with any of the email systems that are out there, and it will work with all mobile devices. So there are no restrictions on what you can deploy as an enterprise. We're a middleware solution, so we have to work with everything, and that's typically what we do. So what you can expect in terms of what a message will look like is a standard email message. We can format it to look very nice. We can put your logo in there, or this could be a simple text email message. We'll include a copy of the sound file or not, depending on the organization. I work with a lot of law firms now who don't want the sound file, but they want the transcription. So we can do that as well. We can go ahead and provide you your faxes, so you can view them right in your on your PC or on your mobile device. And we'll format the email in such a way that when you get it, for example, your mobile device will typically recognize a phone number. And so when I want to return the call, I just click on that with my finger, and it turns around and will call that particular individual back. And I don't even have to dial anything in here. It's really, really cool, really works with all of the systems that are out there. And the most important aspect of what we do is something we don't do. We don't provide a desktop client. And the reason why we don't is because desktop clients, these communication plugins there's often many of them that people will have, oftentimes interfere with the operation of your email system. The vast majority of users out there are using Outlook, probably behind an Exchange server, and those communication plugins have a tendency to cause Outlook to crash. We don't have to go ahead and deploy desktop clients to all the desktops in the enterprise, and because of that you save money on installation, on your help desk from taking calls from people, on productivity gains that are eaten up when you have to reboot your computer all the time. And so we avoid all of that. So one of our most important features is something we don't have. We don't have a desktop client. In addition to getting your voicemail and your email, as I mentioned earlier, we'll go ahead and transcribe those voicemail messages. And it's probably important to set some expectations here. This transcription is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough where you will be able to get the gist of the message. In fact, that's why we named it Gist. It's a combination of the word gist, which means to understand something, and the acronym STT, which means speech to text. You kind of mash those two things together, and you get Gist. And what you can expect from Gist is an accuracy of 80% or better. of the converted text and 90% usability, which means you can expect that you're going to be able to read 90% of your voicemail, and maybe 10% you're going to have to click on the sound file and maybe listen to for a clarification. Most of the messages will be delivered very quickly, typically under 5 minutes. So that's the entire processing time that it takes for us to turn these things around. And once it's in a format that you can read, you can actually get through that voicemail message 4 times faster than having to listen to it. So it is it's an extremely easy and efficient way to go ahead and process voicemail. Okay, I'm going to pause before showing you the magic trick and telling you how we do it, and ask if there are any questions at this time. Feel free to type away. Okay, I'm seeing none. I'm going to go ahead and move to the next portion. We're going to tell you just how we did things. I'm going to take you to my email, and I'm going to switch pointers here and take you to my inbox. As I mentioned, everything will come directly to my inbox. It doesn't go to a subfolder. Can if you program it that way, but so this way things get pushed right out to my mobile device. And you can see here that I've got 3 messages. Now, I'm not a glutton for punishment. I do this for demo purposes only. And you can see that I've got a message from Just Enterprise, Just Auto, and Just Premium. And that's because we have 3 different services that you can purchase. And I'll get into that in just a minute. Let's open the one from Just Enterprise first. And I'll make that bigger so you can actually read it. And you can see on your screen the message is typed out so that I can go ahead and read it. And also I've got a sound file attachment. So the instructions here were to for somebody to say their name, spell it, and then say something funny. So let's go ahead and listen to just what that was, and we'll listen and read at the same time.
F-E-V-E-R-S-O-N. Rich, I'm finding your presentation to be both informational and exciting. Thank you.
And so Keith was transcribed almost perfectly. This is a fully automated transcription, but he failed the test because he didn't say anything funny, but I do appreciate the compliment on how the presentation is going. So that is our fully automated system. This happens to be enterprise, which means that this transcription was done behind our firewall on a server. We can also do transcriptions fully automated in the cloud, and here is that same message that went out to the internet and back. And as you can see, it's identical to the one that I just did from behind the firewall. And now we have a third way of doing this, which is called Just Premium, which again goes to the cloud. And the difference between Premium and Auto is that we actually have people involved in the transcription of this. So if the system can't recognize a word, it will go ahead and kick it out to a human being who will listen to it and clean it up. And as you can see on this one, it says, Keith Severson, Rich, I'm finding your presentation to be both informational and exciting. Thank you. And because a human was involved, the human did not spell the name. He or she included it right in the message, which is the way that one would expect it to look. So it's formatted a little bit differently. You pay a little bit more for this kind of feature, but for organizations that need a higher degree of accuracy, this is absolutely the best way to go. Okay, so that is speech to text and how it works. And what I'm going to do now is pause before kind of moving on and telling you how all of this works, and ask again if there are any questions. So either I'm doing a great job or I have put everybody to sleep. Let's hope it's the latter. Okay, so we're going to move back to the presentation and kind of let you be the judge if this was magic or middleware. Let's talk a little bit about how Just is deployed. I mentioned 3 different ways. Let's talk about the 3 different options here. We have Just Auto, which is a fully automated transcription service. It's cloud-based, so there's no Nothing to install on your premise in terms of software to actually do the transcription. You do need EVM, and we'll talk about that. But Just Auto is in the cloud. It's fast. It's very economical. We do have some customers that don't trust cloud-based services for privacy reasons, etc. And rather than tell you how great and secure things are, we just say, look, if you want it in your enterprise, we'll give it to you fully automated behind the firewall, but you do have to buy some additional server hardware to do that. It's a Linux server that would be needed. And then, of course, we've got Just Premium, which is a 30-second message, agent-assisted, and it will provide the highest transcription accuracy. These are all, the pricing here is volume-based, and Premium, as the name suggests, is a little bit higher cost than Auto or Enterprise would be, but it all depends on your application. And by the way, we can mix and match. So if you wanted to give, for example, your executive team Just Premium and your sales force Just Auto, you could do that. We like to work with you to make sure that the pricing scenarios are such that your organization can afford it. Okay, so in the end, why consider EVM Plus with Gist? Bottom line is you're going to increase your personal productivity. You're not going to waste time listening to voicemail anymore. I love it because I can check my voicemail while I'm in meetings. I just take my iPhone, put it under the desk, and while I'm clearing email, I can clear voicemail at the same time. Can't do that in a meeting. I guess it's okay to put things under the table, but you're still not allowed to take a phone and put it to your ear. It's one of the reasons why attorneys really like this, because they can get their voicemail messages during courtroom work. It's going to work with all of your email systems, and when you take a look at the return on investment, we've got a nice model that will show the actual ROI. This can be measured in many organizations in days, and in most organizations it can be cost justified in weeks. And the cost justification comes from eliminating network that would be used for calling in to get messages, as well as the personal productivity and the time saved. So the two takeaways that I have for you, once again, only Mutari is clientless voicemail to email. Hopefully I made a good case for getting rid of the client. And only Mutari has enterprise-grade voicemail to text working for the Avaya voicemail systems. So Keith, do you have any questions from the audience there yet?
No, Rich, we're not seeing any questions.
So either I did a really good job, or like I said, everyone's sleeping after lunch.
Either could be the case.
It wouldn't be the first time. Okay, quiet group today. Anybody want to plant a question out there? No? Well, that's all I had to present. If there are no further questions, we can call the webinar to a close.
Hang on. Peter Bramer's got his hand up. Do you have a question, Peter? How do we, there. Peter,
Can I speak
your
on
microphone should be open.
I'm on
Go
the
ahead.
voice line. Can you hear me?
We hear you just fine, Peter.
Okay. My question is, does Mutari software replace Avaya's speech-to-text?
We are the speech-to-text for Avaya.
Okay. Okay. So in other words, when I go towards that addition, then I would be using Mutari.
That's correct. The Avaya offering is through Mutari.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. And the server that would be used if we use a server?
For the EVM portion, it's a Windows server, and that can be virtual. If you want the Gist speech-to-text on-premise, you would need to get an additional server, and that would be a Linux server, and we can provide you these specifications for that. And
okay, so that would be our server. It can be our server?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. And did you say it will work on, say, VMware?
The EVM will work on VMware. The GIST speech-to-text, if you elect to put that behind the firewall, that needs to be a physical server because it is a bit processor intensive. So we don't want to put that on a VMware server when it's competing for other resources.
Okay, thank you.
Rich?
Yes.
We have a question from Ken Warner. Ken asks if they're considering getting off of their Intuity system and moving to Outlook for their voice messaging. Can we support speech to text? That's such an easy question. I could answer it, Rich.
Well, then I'm going to let you answer it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, we can support speech-to-text conversion for both the Intuity system and if you were to migrate to a different platform, like, for example, using Microsoft as the store, we can do it on Microsoft as well. So we do work with the Exchange store to convert speech-to-text. Any other questions?
Ken, did we answer your question? And he answered the affirmative, Rich.
Okay.
Oh, let's go to Paula. Walton Mason has a question. Paula, your microphone's open. If you're speaking, we can't hear you, Paula. Oh, you're very faint. You must be on an external microphone or something. Would you mind typing the question, Paula? Paula, do you still have a question? I guess not. Oh, here it is. She's asking what other companies have the Mutari solution.
Well, that's a great question. We have hundreds of companies that do have the various Mutari solutions in, and I'm going to bring up a slide here. Just back up a little bit. We've got Mutari solutions in at all sorts of different companies. EVM is installed at McDonald's, General Electric. We've got just about everybody on the slide has either EVM, EVM with GIST, or they have a notification solution or even a custom solution in here. So there are a lot. We have a fairly large customer base. Right now we have about 1 million mailboxes under management.
And Paula answered that we had answered, or responded that we had answered her question, Rich.
Excellent, excellent.
Not
any other questions?
Seeing any other questions?
Well, we just hit the half hour, so usually my promise is that we're usually done in 30 minutes or less. So if anybody wants to hang around and ask a few more questions, we'll certainly be happy to stick around for a little while, but those that don't have questions can feel free to sign off.
Thank you very much for your attendance.